Welcome to the Food Planners interview. I don't know if you know this, but over 20% of the UK population is affected by one or more allergies. It's a growing problem, and unfortunately, especially amongst the young. Between 6 and 8% of children suffer from food allergies, according to research from the British Society of Allergies and Clinical Immunology. The impact can be anywhere from inconvenient to life-threatening. So what would you do if your newborn suffered from severe allergies? How would you adjust and make sure they were safe and receive the right amount of nutrition? Well, that's precisely the challenge that Amy Langfield faced, and it led her to start Grow with Iris and begin a fascinating journey. Welcome, Amy.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Is it fair to say that you had to start Grow with Iris?
Yeah, 100%. So I had Iris in 2017, and from a really tiny baby, she had like horrendous atopic eczema, so red raw face, her arms, legs, and she was exclusively breastfed. So I was going back to work as a teacher at 6 months. It was pretty early, and I went to my GP saying, look, I'm going to have to find something for lunchtime feeds with a childminder. I don't know what to do because I think that there might be some sort of intolerance or allergy or something going on, because I kind of done my research on the eczema. She said, oh, no, just try any old formula, whatever. And I'm like, okay. So did a bit of research, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try on goat formula because the protein's slightly different from like cow's milk protein. It's like Iris instinctively knew, and she kind of was a bit fussy about it, didn't want to take it, took like one drop, and her eyes and her face and her lips and the whole face kind of swelled up. So I went back to the GP and said, this has happened. I really think we need to get her tested for allergies. And she was like, yeah, but you're going to have to wait 6 months because there's a massive waiting list. And I was like, I can't wait 6 months. I'm about to go back to school full time, which is intense in itself with like a tiny baby, let alone knowing that she has potentially got life-threatening allergies. So we ended up having to pay to go and see a local pediatrician, and she got the blood test done straight away. And then within like a day, we knew that, all her allergies, which were at that time cow's milk protein allergy, or like all bovine, basically milks, soya, bananas, cherries, kiwis, strawberries, all nuts, peanuts, sesame, you name it. Oh, oats as well, because I had been told to use, like Aveeno and stuff on her, and literally it would burn her skin. It was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. So I cut all of these foods out of my diet. And I wasn't really eating, because I'm quite intolerant to dairy anyway, so I didn't really have dairy, but all of those things I had to kind of cut out. So yeah, but if we hadn't have got her diagnosed, she had a massive anaphylactic reaction at my mum-in-law's, and we don't even know what it was from, because I was making her packed food, and it must have been some sort of cross-contamination. And if we didn't have the EpiPens, well, I dread to think what would have happened.
It doesn't bear thinking about, does it?
No, it doesn't, no.
What were your options for supporting Iris's development then?
There's like an NHS prescription, which is like an amino-based, it's quite kind of, almost say kind of chemical formula, which, is great. It supports children's growth, and it ticks all the boxes other than the fact you turn it around and you don't know any of the ingredients apart from corn syrup, which they need the sugar, they need it to thrive, they need it to build themselves up. But as a parent who had been breastfeeding and lived like, we eat quite healthily, I was quite shocked that I didn't understand it. And also it, anyone who's had this formula knows that it really smells disgusting and tastes disgusting. So we kind of went all over the internet and looked for things which obviously would not be legal in the UK anyway. So looking for different alternatives, because our laws are like the strictest in the world. So we imported some random one from America, Australia, not really massively established brands, and then something from France we kind of settled with, which was £40 a tin. And luckily we only had to have that once a day, but you would be getting through 3 of those if you weren't breastfeeding as well. So that's like 120 quid a week. which is mad, like absolute madness. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just do something about this myself. Like, I can't be the only one. Like, I need to do something.
So kind of not to knock your GP and the health service, but it doesn't sound like there was an awful lot of support or a plan to deal with Iris's allergies.
No, so we were then referred back and put into the NHS system. So we were assigned a paediatrician at our local hospital, you know, who has to cover loads of different things, not like an allergy specialist. You know, that's not the only thing that he has to do. We were luckily given access to a dietitian who actually we've been working with on the formula. She's amazing, Sarah Foster. And we had 15 minutes with a nurse to show us how to use EpiPens. But luckily I'm paediatric first aid trained through my teaching career. So I feel confident to, you know, I've got myself a training pen and I can kind of show friends and family or like childcare settings, you know, what they need to do. So it's really tricky, but, you know, the most support I've probably found, and it's even better now, you've got someone called Dr. Helen, who has got all this support, like support for parents who've got like newly diagnosed children. And then you've got people like the allergy team, like loads of different, the allergy badge, they all are here to support parents because they're all parents themselves, allergy parents. So they know what's missing. And within our community, everybody's doing their little bit to kind of make it a safer world because we're all so frustrated.
Oh yeah. So how did you set about developing the product?
Yeah, like really naively, I'm going to create a plant-based free from formula, infant formula. You know, that's a pretty like, yeah. So in my green naive self with Iris with me as tiny little baby, I actually came to see Mel from Frog Hop, so the founder of Frog Hop. So amazing. Like I actually went to her house and we chatted in the garden. I remember it really vividly, talking about, you know, what would be the best way to go about this. And she kind of talked me through and said, you know what, it's going to be really tricky with infant formula because, you know, you're going to need a dossier, you're probably going to need to go and do loads of legal stuff and go for a European court, you know, all the stuff. But, you know, she made it really clear to me and I was like, no, still, you know, we can do that. That's cool. But, you know, talked about the best protein and we kind of came to the conclusion that, you know, let's go for like a pea protein. And we got like a paper-based recipe down of what she thought would probably be good to kind of move forward. And we worked together on that as well. And I had ideas about what I wanted to put into it. And yeah, so that was like an initial kind of prototype.
And then as you sort of moved into developing the product, how did the process of balancing taste and nutrition and the kind of allergen-free objectives work?
Yes, that's it's a challenge because pea protein is a tricky one to work with. I mean, they're being like finer and finer proteins being developed all the time, but, you know, always going to have this taste. So we kind of balance it with we have date sugar, which is like a natural low GI sugar. You know, you think sugar and like alarm bells go off, but actually children also need sugar to thrive. Like it is essential. We're kind of, you know, as long as you're looking after like teeth health, you know, our drink you would have morning, night, you'd have it before you clean your teeth both times. Yeah. So yeah, and then it's formulated with like MCT oil and which is coconut derived, and then like a premix of all the different nutritionals. And we've worked so carefully with our pediatrician, dietitian, labeling experts within the infant regulations, because a lot of growing up drinks actually follow adult regulations. It's really grey about what regulations. So we've done loads of kind of legal work to find out what's actually going to be best for the child. So we formulate to infant regulations to ensure that the nutrition is like optimum.
And you mentioned about the sort of need to campaign and change the law around. It's 0 to 12 months.
Yeah, it counts as an infant. Yeah.
What's the thing that needs to change?
So the thing that needs to change is having a protein, whether that's pea protein a safe protein, which is plant-based or allergen-free. That is, we need to find a protein. We actually were going to work with the University of Greenwich, but we just had too much on our plate right now. We just need to launch, but we're kind of hopefully going to be working with them in the future to kind of work that out. But what would then need to happen is you have like a dossier of like all the different like bits of paperwork and legal stuff. You then, I think, have to like present it to the European courts, even though we're kind of not under EU laws. We're kind of UK obviously now, but we're still following that similar, you know, the same sort of legal stuff. So the only proteins registered for use right now are cow's milk protein, goat milk protein, and soya. And then the one that you get on the NHS is like an amino blend. Yeah.
Right. So it's the plant-based option that's missing.
That's lacking. Yeah. And you know, like bearing in mind that we're in a massive climate crisis, it baffles me why like this hasn't been addressed. You know, I guess it's not top list of their priority, but like there's one born every minute, and you know, they have to be fed, and not everybody can be breastfed.
One thing I hadn't picked up looking at the website is the sustainability angle of it, and avoiding, I guess, the dairy industry and its impact on the planet.
Yeah. So obviously being plant-based, we already are in a better position. We had an LCA done when we had our when we did our kind of sustainability and innovation project via Innovate UK. So we had grant funding for that. So just purely by existing what we are, like the powder-based, plant-based, that already ticks a lot of boxes. However, we've also got other aspects as well. So we're kind of housed, this will be fully printed like this, but this is part of our pilot batch. So we're going to be coming in an 18-serve pouch. You then add your water to it, like a formula, but most growing up drinks come in like, you know, like your usual
cartons.
And I've been known to take 15 of those on holiday. Like literally my suitcase full of plant-based milk for Iris, just so I knew that she would be able to have her morning and night nutrition when she was like little. Later on, when we have our sachets, just chuck a couple of sachets in. You're going camping for the weekend, already the car is like filled to the brim, you know, chuck a couple of sachets in, you know, all that kind of stuff, nappy bag, whatever.
You mentioned funding from Innovate UK, which sounds pretty good. They fund on a sort of R&D kind of basis, do they?
Yeah, so we had sustainability and innovation was our first one, and the second one was women in innovation. And you know what, it's just so incredible because you obviously have the money, which means you can do the stuff that you need to do, which is always so costly when it comes to R&D. But you also get like this network of people that help and support you, like a growth specialist. If you're stuck with anything, they can kind of recommend where to go, or they put you in touch with someone. So we're so lucky in that sense. It's really connected us and helped us become, I guess, the founders that we needed to be, because it's just almost like training.
It sounds like it'd be very difficult to this level of product development without some serious funding. I mean,
at the moment we're in an investment round because just to launch, but we are ready to launch. Like we have everything is set up. It's almost like we just need to press the button and then we can go. We're building a really kind of intense and robust website because we'll be selling D2C, and we want to make it easy for parents to be able to, you know, order via subscription and just not be like one of those glitchy websites which just is almost like a hindrance. So we're ready to go. We just need that funding, but you know that half our product cost nearly goes on testing, you know, like on allergy testing. It's tested at every kind of stage of the manufacturing process, so from the opening the bag of an ingredient to where it's going into, once it's in there, it's almost like a bat phone, like when they do the blend and then they're about to pack it and you have to wait half an hour for the results, and you're like waiting on the floor, and then they like call like, yeah, you're good.
Hey.
Like, oh, you, and you're waiting for the phone to ring, like you're like on the, like in your like kind of hairnet and your shoes, kind of waiting. It's really nerve-wracking.
It sounds like there's a lot of different hats. Did you have any idea how many different hats you were going to have to wear as a food fan?
No, and Sophie, my co-founder as well, has got a lovely collection of hats. You know, it's like a fancy dress box. Yeah, so obviously you've got the founder hat. You know, you've got your like the face, the networking, the talking about the brand, but you've also developing the product. You're learning about how to be a nutritionist. You're learning about allergies more intensely. You're learning about storage and distribution. You're learning about legals. You're learning about finance. You're learning about budgeting. You're learning about profit margins. You're learning about everything. And it's like a whole new career. I mean, it is a whole new career for both of us. We're both creators. I'm an art teacher. Sophie's from branding, and she's a creative director, designer. We've had the most incredible mentors and worked with the kind of most generous specialists, you know, like our risk and regulatory lady, Rachel, has just given us so much time and patience. And we worked with a lady called Breda as well, who's helped us with all, you know, our kind of manufacturing back and forth, and kind of held our hand through all of that. So she's got years and years of experience, and you know, without those people we couldn't have done it. You know, we also have like mentors in Lucinda, who started Genius Foods, and Sarah from Healthy Nibbles. Like, we've got all these people who just kind of, we know, like, if we're a bit stuck, we can just kind of tap into them, and they're always so generous with their time.
Brilliant. And the next stage is, as you say, is some more financing and doing sort of production runs. You have done some production runs already, is that right?
Yeah, we've done 2. So the first one was like a smaller batch run, and that was for our first focus groups, which was like an agency focus group, just to kind of put the product in mouths. And that was also some flavors that we tried out with them as well. We then decided to kind of really be pointed about what we're doing and focus on the hero product, get that out there, because that's where the need is. Kind of put all our, you know, energy into that, getting that really good hero product. The rest is going to come later. So we've then found our manufacturer, who are based in Somerset. Took about 4 months to find them, but again, they've just been incredible. And actually, the MD is personally invested in us because he just believes in what we're doing. And you know, that means the world to us, because we know that he kind of has our backs. You know, and then for take a risk on like a startup, you know, pre-revenue startup, really tricky product, you know, that's a big leap of faith. And you know, we do, you know, we really appreciate that.
I think I saw some pictures on Instagram of you packing up samples. Did I? Like, so you sent sample products out to people?
Yeah, so with our second production run, we had them mostly, we had for testing and like shelf life and stability, just put in boring, like our packaging, but not fully printed, just to get all our data. But then we had them put into little sachets, which went down a storm. Like, everybody loved them. And we're just saying, are you going to release these as well? So that's kind of gone into our plan. We will be doing that in the future. But we recruited, honestly, thousands of people signed up for samples, and Sophie and I were packing them all up. But then in return, they did survey for us, and it meant that we really kind of had targeted data. So from plant-based community, allergy community, which is really tricky to, you know, to find, you know, people who actually, you know, the people that we actually want to help. And they were so generous with their time and comments, and it went down really well. And we had the validation we need to kind of keep going. We've made a couple of tweaks. So we've kind of brought the sweetness down for our commercial run, and we've upped the calcium even more. Actually, everybody loved it as they were, but my gut feeling, and Sophie's as well, was just to bring the sweetness down a little bit.
That sounds really important for the business. You've kind of found 1,000+ people there. So you've kind of found your tribe. These people absolutely desperately want to be able to buy it on a regular basis.
Yeah, and a lot of like people, you know, if someone chooses to be vegan, or if they do have a child with allergies, you tend to, you know, breastfeed as long as possible, but if you can. But then if you're returning to work at 12 months, is actually what we've discovered through talking to our consumers, that actually at 12 months is a really tricky stage, because people are holding off going back to work, so don't know what to do, and they feel like confused about what the next options are. So initially the concept was for the infant formula 0 to 6, 6 to 12, but we've actually realized that there's a massive need for this time in a child's life, you know, when also they might be fussy eaters and struggling with the nutrition. So with us, you don't need to have, like with your 2 servings a day, you don't need to have like additional multivitamins, you know, it's all in one. You like kind of, as a busy parent, you've got that kind of peace of mind that it's all done. You know, they're ticking a lot of boxes when it comes to their nutrition.
Have there been particular communities that have been useful to you, or that you've been able to access? I mean, I'm thinking of Facebook and things like that. We
did Facebook ads, which helped with our sign-ups for the focus group, for the, you know, like our sampling with the sachets. But I guess like more community would be like Instagram, you know, fellow allergy, you know, like dietitians, like I said earlier, different parents who have started their own businesses, you know, like allergy pen pals. They do really cool little like key rings to, you know, identify whether you're carrying EpiPens. There's, you know, people like Ash Friendly who are doing loads of stuff to kind of raise awareness for allergies within the Sikh community. But we all kind of help each other out. And then when we went to the Freeform show, you know, everyone's there because we are a small community and we all kind of just look after each other. There's like Sarah from the allergy team, there's Dan from Make and Tame, you know, we're all doing our little bits within our world to kind of make it a safer world for everyone. We're all doing our little bit from different angles, and it's so lovely. And obviously you've got Julianne from Creative Nature. You know, she's making massive waves at the moment in really using her power to kind of help us, you know, as a group of people that are very, very misunderstood.
When it came to manufacturing and doing your sort of your test batches, did you have to find a specific manufacturer that could do allergen free? Yeah,
so on our second manufacturer, and the first one was like slightly smaller. This one is like scalable, but it took us months, absolute months of like being on the phone trying to find someone that would, you know, fulfill like a free from product. Our current manufacturer, they're just so amazing. Their testing is just second to none. The support, you know, even the MD of our manufacturer has invested in us because he really believes in what we're doing. It just means safety to us because we know that he's got the kind of trust.
What about the branding and creating the brand?
Sophie is her inner former life is a creative director, and the branding is all down to her. And you know, at the moment we're talking to people to help us with like our tone of voice and making sure that, you know, our messaging is really important, because like I said earlier, we really want to be uplifting and support people, but we don't want to be earnest or patronizing in any way, because we already feel like we're not believed in the community anyway. So like we need to kind of be like a happy place.
What does the team look like at Grow with Iris? You said it's you, yourself and Sophie.
Yeah, so obviously Sophie and I, and then we have a lot of consultants who we kind of have in place. So we have our risk and regulatory consultant, Rachel Ward, our LCA advisor, labeling specialists to, you know, make sure that all the nutritionals are in line. We have our 2 nutritionists, we have our pediatrician, we have a growth manager, and like this massive list of mentors who from the F&B world who support us as well. Obviously storage and distribution. So the team, it's big when you kind of write it all down, you know, the team is huge, but we're kind of in the center of that.
And I guess that'll change as you say, you get funded and grow the business. Are there any brands or businesses that have kind of inspired you or that you aspire to be like?
Oh yeah, loads. I mean, obviously mentioned Julianne because I love how much of an impact she's made. I'm particularly obsessed with a brand called Overheard at the moment because I really like the way, and you might not have heard of them, Over and then Heard like a cow. Again, they're a powdered oat milk quite similar in a way to us, but their branding's really cool and the way their messaging is really great, and again, not patronizing, and just makes total sense to me. Obviously Tony's as well, like the way that they their social impact on the world. I mean, we're constantly on the lookout. I'm a real kind of brand ambassador. Like if I love a brand, I'll tell the world about it. And I listen to a lot of podcasts from founders because I just find it so interesting to, see how they got to where they are. I love Mary Portas as well. I just think her mindset and the way that she kind of works in business as a female, just I love her as well.
And finally, do you have a kind of an ultimate goal for Grow with Iris?
Number one, to launch, to be in Europe, to get into America, where we know for a fact, they've had their formula shortages. Love to get over there. They're quite progressive when it comes to alternative products, and I think would go down really well there. But at the tip of the iceberg, getting a formula 0 to 6, 6 to 12, that would be my dream. There's a lot of work to be done in terms of changing the legal, the law within the UK to make it registered for use, because it's so tight at the moment. But for me, it's not selfishly that I want the law to change because of my product. I think if we're moving towards really extreme climate change, why would we not be trying to switch a product which makes such an impact? And most babies are advised to be having cow's milk. There's more cows in the world than there are people, and their emissions from the methane is so damaging. Why wouldn't the government think, let's try and make a change? Let's just change up a few things. Let's see what happens. It's frustrating, but I would love somebody to have that infant formula out there. I'd love it to be us, and I'd love us to be successful enough to be able to facilitate and develop that ourselves. We're like the David, and then everyone else is like the Goliath. It's like a big mountain, but if you think about it enough, and if you're taking the right steps, and why not? We've got this far. We haven't come this far to come this far.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. If anyone wants to find out more about Grow with Iris and buy online soon, I think it's fair to say,
yeah,
then the
sign
website
up to my newsletter. Yeah,
excellent. It's www.growwithiris.co. You can listen to previous Food Founders interviews at froghop.co.uk/podcast. We'll be back in September with Lucy from Cloudy and Finn, and you can sign up for that at froghop.co.uk/kitchen. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. See you later.
Take care.
Bye.